Scars that burn, wounds that cut too deep. But they rise, they stand, they fight for every name lost in the quiet night. And again, brothers on the brink, saving souls on fire, pulling back the damned from the razor wire. 10 years deep, no rest, no end. They fight for the fallen again and again, and again, and again, and again. Brothers on the brink, saving souls on fire, pulling back the damned from the razor wire. 10 years deep, no rest, no end. They fight for the fallen again and again, and again, and again, and again, and again. Steel hearts cracked and bent in the shadows where the lost men went. Echoes scream from the barrels.
What's up, everybody? I am live. I am on multiple platforms. How are we all doing? For those of you that don't know me, I'm the WGY6 Panda. I'm hoping you can hear me over on the TikTok and the Facebook side pretty well. So, I figured I should come on here and talk to you a bit about what I actually do. So you'll see on the TikTok side that I make jokes, I will do, satire videos, I do stuff from my streaming side of this. And that streaming side is to bring attention to my nonprofit, not so much build me up there. For those of you who don't know, I am Panda. I run WGY6 Crisis Squad. And what it is a nonprofit meant to prevent veteran self-termination. Now, I have to watch how I word things because I am live on multiple platforms. And hang on, I'm going to see if I can't get my VP in here. But yeah, so we take the time to make sure that our veteran community is getting the mental health care they need, be it that they've made an ideation or aren't feeling the greatest or are struggling. We have partner affiliations that we can use to help you with the mental health side. We have partner affiliations with us that can help you with financial side. Basically, how all this entirety of it works is we take veterans that are in the form of life that we are right now, where we've survived divorces, we've survived end of relationships, we've survived military careers, we've had the spicy thoughts where we just didn't want to see tomorrow. And a lot of those ops have made it so we've come a long way from there. When we first started, back in 2013, we stayed pretty well to the shadows. It originally started as a big group of Marines that wanted to make sure other Marines were okay because we had a rate of, self-termination that was 22 a day, which is a big thing. Why our statement is 22 plus 11 equals 0. Back at that point, 22 veterans a day self-terminated. And when they self-terminated like that, we left that unsat. The Marine Corps' 11th General Order broken down very Barney style, is you shall not post without proper authority. And a lot of us took that very much to heart because we're so tired of losing all the people we cared about. We wanted to make sure that people were getting taken care of. And unfortunately, we saw that a lot of the VA programs fell short. They were not adequately getting taken care of. We watched way too many of our veterans that were trying to go get mental health care be told, it's 6-7 months before you're going to be able to see anybody. Not even depending on if you were on a certain team, if you were already rated, if you wanted to get into psych and you weren't in psych, there were sometimes you'd be waiting up to 6 months. I've seen as crazy as 8 months because you have to go through your GP, you have to get referrals. And a lot of the times when they were going to the ER, they were being given this, well, here's your safety plan. We'll see you when we see you. Even though they were wanting to end things right then and there. And that to me was just insane. So what we did is we created an entire support network. And that support network started with the very ground basics. A lot of what the veterans think, a lot of what the, better fix you down there on TikTok side. My bad, you don't need to see the ceiling. So what we saw was a huge issue inside of the veteran community was we lose our entire identities when we got out because we were essentially separated from the family that we were given. And it's just asinine that, we'd get out, we'd lose contact. We live in a social media era. So what we decided to do was give back the barracks. We took the time to build up support chats, find veterans that had survived various things in different walks of life as we had talked to them through over the years. And they're all still sitting in these chats and day to day that they'll reach out, interact with each other, and build up the next point of the bases. That first base was that foundation, right? We all miss having that barracks. And, when we were in the barracks, you'd be able to knock on that door next door, right? And you'd have somebody to sit there and talk to. But unfortunately, what a lot of us were taught in the military was you drink. That's your way of solving it. Or you play video games and you just dissolve and disassociate into an absolute drone. We were given a mask, and it's a metaphysical mask, and that's kind of one of the big jokes about why I wear a panda head, or why I wore a panda head when we first started doing this, is we were all given a mask in the military. And that mask in the military was to make it so the enemy couldn't see we were in pain, that we were slowed down, that we were scared, that we were angry, that we were hurt, anything that would have jeopardized that mission. And because that mission was so important to us, we would don that mask, and it would just get heavy, because that was the main thing. Hi, nice to see you. Welcome in. We used to have this mentality that we had to don that mask anytime anything got stressful. And it would just burn us out in the long term because, we're not actually dealing with it. We're just disassociating it. We're throwing it away like it's not a thing. And one of the biggest problems with doing that is you can don that mask as much as you want, where you're taught to just basically push it aside and we're not going to deal with it. Well, because we had constantly lived in that state where when things got stressful and we'd push things aside and they just go away, well, they don't go away. They sit in the way on you. And the more that it weighs on you and the more that you aren't dealing with these issues, you begin to develop much more complex things that you're going to have to work through. And a lot of the problems that we had is the next step is teaching you how to communicate. Now, one of the best tools that we found over the last 12 years as an active entity, 14 years entirety, and 15 years in my experience, is you need to start talking about it. That is rough. You know what? We can take a second out of it and prove some of the things that work for us. Now, I got somebody on the TikTok side that said they got broken up with, they have a class with her, and it hurts every time that they see her. You know the best part about being able to feel that? Is you're able to feel that. Do you understand? Like, as a societal whole, A lot of us are just told we need to be quiet, buckle down, or be strong, be that stone, right? It's okay to not be okay. The death of a relationship, the death of a person, the death of a serviceman, it is not something that is easy to deal with somebody passing. It's not. And the same thing is for a relationship. It is the death of a way of life that you have known. It is something that was close to you that is now gone, and you're going to grieve on that. And one of the biggest things I can teach you is you have to feel it. Like if you put it aside and you just pack it away, it's going to make it much harder for your brain to process these things, put them up the long term, and allow you to get past it. No matter what anybody tells you, you aren't going to be completely okay from something like that in a week, 2 weeks. But everybody deals with things differently. Um, it's been a week. Well, a week is still a week isn't that long. It's okay. Yeah, right? You will move on. But you're still going to remember these things because no matter what happens, when we start building emotional memories on things and we start to develop, why are you shorter that way? What is happening here? Okay. We start noticing that when we're developing that. Sorry, I am all over. We start noticing that as we process these emotions more and we're actually actively talking about these things, where we're able to sit in daily. For most veterans, it's being able to talk about a combat experience or um, a traumatizing event or how we feel or coming into sobriety or end of a marriage or problems with your kids or severe to what some people would consider asinine. I've seen people in the last 15 years, one of the craziest things that I think I've ever seen was somebody got upset because their car wouldn't start, and that was the final straw. See, it's not just the one thing that weighs on you, it's a combination of a lot of different things. And when we get it, it's the final straw that breaks the camel's back where you just fall short. And you're just like, I can't do this anymore. And that's where my team comes in. For the veteran side of the world, we'll reach out, we'll intervene, we'll contact you. If we can't get a hold of you, we'll try and get a hold of people that know you so you can get somebody to talk to. One of the biggest things that happens out there, other than the financial side, that leads people to want to self-terminate or have mental health issues, we have the financial side. I'm afraid I can't get the lights on. I'm worried that if the lights go out, then I'm not going to be able to, keep my kids. I'm a failure as a boyfriend, a husband, a wife, a spouse, a daughter, a son. But you're not a failure. See, a lot of what we see is just an over occurrence and an over carry of things that we're basically forcing ourselves to hold on to. It's this falsified persona that makes us so much weaker. When I first got to the point of everything, I was sitting in the front seat of my truck trying to self-terminate with a large caliber weapon, and it was a shotgun. I had 5 dud rounds in a row. I'm more than happy to sit and talk about it. I was so down that I couldn't self-terminate that I cried and broke down. And I had great friends, great friend at that point, that pushed me and got me help. And from there, I got sober, I got clean, I moved to a completely new state and got a job, held that job, and changed a lot of my life using the tools that we give out now. So you've got that support network, which is what is in the chats. And I'm sorry that I went off on a tangent, but it's going to be okay, Connor. And if your friends give you crap, your friends are going to give you crap. But a lot of that is we don't know how to talk about grief because nobody talks about it. It's the same with depression. It's the same with anxiety and PTSD. We don't talk about it. It became such a taboo subject because, you know, in the 1930s to 1940s to 1950s, we put people in an insane asylum. We called it a sanatorium. And there was a lot of terrible things that happened in those. And then we had the people coming back from Vietnam. We'll look at that for the veteran side of the house, where they were treated like they were the scum of the earth. And you know what? A lot of the legions and the VFWs told a lot of those veterans that you weren't part of an actual war. So they got ostracized and alienated, and it became, we shut up, we don't talk about it, and we drink. But we don't talk about it. The original number when I started this was 22 veterans a day. 22. Now, if we look at the numbers, it's closer to 44 veterans a day. 44 of them. That's unsad. And we're supposed to appreciate these tools like 988 that got brought out. 988, a number you could call that if you were feeling spicy in the brain, you could get help, right? 10.5. For the first 2 years of its existence, 10.5 times more likely for you to self-terminate. In a recent questioning by our government officials of it, they were happy to say that they were over 200 self-terminations lighter, and that number was trending downward. I've been doing this 15 years. WGY6 has been around for a little over 12, publicly. 15,104. Number of people that have messaged us in some form of another and gotten help. 9. Number we failed. And that's not blowing my own horn. That's not tooting anything. That's not falsifying anything. We keep records of everybody we talk to. See, the difference is we follow up. We make sure that, if you do go and get mental help, you do 72 hours in some states. You do 18 hours in other states. You do 10 hours in states like Texas. It's a 502 form in 12 different states. It's a medical official has to file it in 30 states. It's emergency medicine and law enforcement or family have to sign you in other states. But you know what that means? Here's the crazy part about all of it, right? If we're taking those people and we're making sure we get them that help, right? Are we not failing them as a group? Any way, shape, or form. If we aren't making sure that, one, we're doing follow-ups with them. Because, hey, just because we got you help, give me 72 hours to change your life. I bet you, hey, Snack Eater, how you doing, buddy? I bet you can ask people in the TikTok comments, and I bet you can ask people in my Facebook comments. If we've reached out to you, we still talk to you. As long as you want to talk to us, we will talk to you. Right? It's one of the basic building blocks we have. Because just because we got you help didn't mean we fixed the situation. See, one of the biggest misnomers is I go to therapy or I go see a therapist and I get put on meds and everything's great. Some people, medications are what they needed. Sometimes it's just a chemical imbalance. But there are other times, and there are more prevalent times, that you have something much deeper. Like, as is the case with veterans and PTSD. It's going to be a much more powerful memory that's going to be at the forefront of your brain because it has a positive, well, not a positive. It has a very strong, easy to grab, positive response emotion. And what I mean by that is it's anger, it's sorrow, it's happiness, it's rage. All of those things are easily grabbed emotions, but the most common and easiest to grab is anger and fear. And because they have that anger and that fear built up in the backside of this, it's an easily accessed memory. We can't put it in long-term storage because anytime we get scared or angry, the brain goes, spicy memory. And that's not just veterans, that's all PTSD. It is the inability to process those memories. So what did we do to combat that, right? What did we do? We talked about it. We talked about our own internal feelings. We talked about how we processed it, how we felt with it, how we dealt with it, and what we felt, and what worked for us, and what didn't work for us. And once the egos got put to the frickin' side, it was, hey, I've buried one of my kids. And I know that you've lost one of yours. Here's some of the resources that helped me. You're going to feel lost. It's okay. You're going to tell me I'm full of shit. You're going to want to grieve differently. Pardon my language. But there's strong feelings everywhere on all of this. You know, it's a lot to carry, and people not talking about these things and not actively processing through them is why that we have such an issue. The number's going up. We have more resources than ever in place, more eyes on this problem, and more availability than anything else for the community to be able to reach back and talk to these people. But we have a systemic issue. Mental health is a taboo thing to talk about. I mean, even if you're sitting there talking, hello. All right, that's weird. Sorry, Facebook side. It just keeps shutting off. It's not dead, but anyways, I lost my train of thought. We don't sit and process these things. We don't talk about it, and it became a taboo. And it's a taboo across the board, even if we talk about like Mental Health Month, right? One of the biggest issues that's out there. We sit and actively talk about mental health, and it's in every community, right? It's a serious thing. We have mental health and self-termination issues across the board because everybody is so afraid to talk about what's wrong. I have had people that I've contacted within the last week. I'm not going to name names, but they know who they are. Trying to sit and hold strong. One of our ops passed not long ago. It's one of the biggest gut punches of my life. I lost somebody that worked directly alongside me for 7 years. That's a long time. 7 years. And it was one of the most horrible experiences of my life. I had to go down there. I drove across the country in the middle of the night, getting there very early in the morning, and spending days in the hospital watching one of my best friends slowly decay away. I am about to be 36 years old, and I have put more friends to rest because of mental health issues than I'm honestly pretty positive at this point that my grandparents ever have. And a lot of it was from self-termination. That's the reality. You know, we can sit and say things like, man, you got to be stronger, right? You just pull yourself up by your boot, you tighten your pack, and you keep going, right? Where's that get you? You can only tighten your shoes so much, right? Tighten your pack so much. But eventually, that pack gets heavy. Those feet start to hurt because you aren't dealing with the baseline problem. You sitting there going, you're strong enough, keep going. That's the same mask we talked about, right? It is a mask that, we're strong when we're weak. We're not afraid. We're not depressed. We're not sad. We're not angry. We're not anything other than monotone. Doesn't get us anywhere. Doesn't do crap. All it does is internalize all of it. So talk about it. Call your friends out when you can see they're struggling with something, but be ready to have that conversation. Yeah, it really doesn't. And the older we get, the harder it gets to talk to this next generation, right? I'm 36. When I was in, we didn't have to nearly worry about as much drone warfare. I mean, look at what's going on with, Ukraine and Russia. Again, we're not going to get political. But just looking at the war perspective on that. They're going to deal with something very different. Just like what was in the Middle East isn't going to be the same as Vietnam, and it's not going to be the same as it was for a World War II vet in Japan or over in Germany. Every war is different. But we all have the same basis. We all have the same things that we went through. We all had to learn to do everything in a specific order. We had to understand the rules and regulations. But the biggest thing is you understood who watched your back. You knew it. And that's why those chats are so important for us. It gives you that out. It gives you that space to be able to sit and just decompress and be like, look, I'm struggling because my friend died. And I don't want to be here anymore. Crazy thing and an honest thing is anybody that sits there and tells you, I got better. I don't think about that anymore is a fucking liar. I have yet to meet one. And I've been doing this a long time, and I've come on a very long journey. I went from not being able to feel a single thing and just masking and constantly ignoring what I was dealing with and taking it to the point of I'm able to feel things. And unfortunately for me, I've spent so long masking that it became an overwhelming, overstimulating all emotions at once. And if you've been masking for a long time and you've been dealing with this for a long time, it's a struggle. It really is. And I'm proud of you for doing that work. Being open and honest and being able to talk about what you're feeling. One of the hardest things that a lot of men deal with specifically, we are told the majority of our lives, men don't cry. Men are strong, and the biggest thing you can do is not be a burden to those around you, right? What's a bigger burden? In all reality, someone who can't carry their gear, or somebody asking for help to keep the pace. It's a fact. You are not effective if you are sitting there fighting a war on two fronts. You're not. When you're sitting there and just beating your head into the ground because you want to... I wonder if it's because there's no audio going into my headset. Hang on. We'll just do that. Because it shouldn't be... Yeah, it's not going to capture that audio. So we'll just let me hear myself back. It's fine. That's probably why I was shutting off. But anyways, not the point. It's just a failure to process everything. And we hit the wall because we've been pushing for so long, so hard, of just tighten your boots, tighten your pack, and keep going, that we don't know how to relax anymore. So when we get to that point where we're like, I'm finally open, I can admit that I am angry. Well, why am I angry? Because that's the new step, right? When you get to the point where you're like, I am angry, and that is an angry first response, but that is not what I want. You're able to sit there and go just a little bit deeper and go, well, why am I angry? I am angry because of this. Or I am hurt. Well, why am I hurt? Why am I sad? Because I'm dealing with X, Y, Z. Well, how do we break down X, Y, Z so we can handle it? These are all tools you'll learn just being able to sit and go, all right, fix it. Yeah, like Snack Eater says, I still think it's about things, and it's been nearly 30 years. I got out in 2011. I still think about it. I still think about people I served with. I still think about people that have joined my squad. I still think about a lot of the people that we've talked to over the years. It's a lot. And what we do is not for weak people. And it's not calling you weak because you can't do it. It's not anything to do with your iron will fortitude. It's I live in a world of seconds. From the moment you reach out, I have seconds before circular pattern thinking takes you back in, and that quick little reach out for help that you did, you're now shutting down and not listening to anybody because you're so in your head that nobody wants you, that you're hated, that it'd be better if you weren't here. These are all thoughts. They're not real thoughts. I can promise you they're not. People will miss you. No matter who you think you are. There's a caveat to that, though. The other thing you need to understand is no matter what you do in your life, you are going to be the villain in somebody's story. You know, that's one of the biggest things I laugh about. We have gotten a lot of people help that have messaged us with hate messages and I can't believe you sent me to psych, or you had law enforcement come to my door to talk to me. Well, there's a step-by-step process we go through, my dude. We reach out. We reach out to your family. We reach out to your common interactions. If there is a valid threat, we're going to do everything we can to try and get a hold of you. Once it gets to a certain point, if it's a last resort effort that we are worried that you have continued with these patterns, we will send EMS. We'll have firefighters meet you. We'll have paramedics meet you. It might be law enforcement, depending on where you are. It's just that point. One momentary moment of weakness. All it takes. And it's not calling it weakness. It's not trying to say that you need to personify being the strongest creature alive, or the most mentally resilient, or the most physically tough, or the most creative, or the strongest will. None of those matter. Real strength is being able to admit your weaknesses. Real strength is understanding that you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have everything under control. You don't have to have everybody like you. You don't have to have everything sit in a perfect little order, because perfection sucks. And I'll explain that. And I'll explain that logic. If you sit there and look at perfection, everything is never going to get worse, right? And a lot of people look at that on its head and go, well, if it's perfection, wouldn't you want that? I don't. Perfection is boring. It'll never get better. It'll never get worse, but it'll never get better. Everything's going to be the same. And you're going to sit there and think, well, if it's perfect, I'm not going to deal with those spicy thoughts, right? I hate to tell you, until you actually learn to process and accept those feelings, and even accept how you'll handle those feelings. Which, I'm sad. Well, what are we going to do to remedy sad? Some people run. Some people lift weights. Some people play video games. Some people create art. Some people create music. Some turn wood. But emotion is a lot harder for the body to process than pain. See, if you sit and you hold it inside too long and you don't start processing it, there are things like that can happen, like conversion disorder, where you start transferring stress into body pain, because that's the only way your body knows to get your attention. It's the only way you can process through it. You'll start getting so stressed out that you'll have chest pains from anxiety. You'll start getting headaches and migraines all the time. You'll stop sleeping. So how do we fix this? Well, sometimes you need to go in and get meds. Sometimes you need therapy. Well, what if therapy's not enough? That's why we have our support chats. 72 hours. 72 hours is all I need in most cases to change the world. And I tell everybody that talks to me, give me the right tools, I'll change the world for you. More than 80% of the people that I've talked to, I still get messages from time to time. I still see on social media. I am responsible for numerous marriages, children, new houses bought, cars bought, life stories continued. If you're hitting a point where you feel like I have nobody there, really start looking at things. If your only thing about you that you feel that you're just the strong one, I am the stone that holds it all down. I'm going to tell you something I told one of my friends that told me that. I'm a rock. Let's look at a rock. It is strong. It is sturdy. It's used in a lot of building materials because of that, right? But what happens to a stone that's in a river, where it's constantly under pressure and constantly having to push on through things? Eventually, the water erodes it away. That's why we have things like the Grand Canyon. But you're still rock, right? But if you are put in the wrong environments and you're not taking care of yourself and you're letting yourself be eroded away because you're not dealing with the actual issue, eventually you're going to get worn down from a big rock to a little stone that can fit in a toddler's pocket that he's happy to carry around. You're still a rock, but what's left of you? Do you want to be worn down? Or do you want to be that big rock that's at the end of somebody's driveway that somebody just gets a little too speed happy and rams into every once in a while? What do you want to be? Do you want to be depressed? Do you want to feel this way? Or do you want to sit and do the harder work? Reach out and start talking about it and processing through. You want the tools? Reach out to us. I'm on Facebook, WGY6 Crisis Squad. If you type it in, look for this. It's a little over 2K on the page. Message it. Say something in the chat. Message me on here. I'll get you the link myself. You can reach out. You can talk to us. The only thing that we ask to prove who you are is something proving actual veteran status. And that's because we are vets taking care of vets. Primarily, number one. And once you're proven a vet, we can open the whole world to you. There's a whole subsection of resources specifically for veterans. But even if we're not using just veteran resources, there's a lot of other things that are out there that we can give to you. We can give you coping tools. We can give you a variety of things that are going to get you past those spicy moments. The world isn't so scary when you're not alone. It's not. Just remember, when you're alone and you think it's over, we've got your six. And that's not just a moniker to me. That's not just a non-profit name to me. That is a very way of life. And anybody that's known me knows for the last, since 2012, so 13 years since we've been active and had a Facebook page. And, well, not a Facebook page. We had a Facebook group and several messenger chats, and we learned how to do all this and take care of things and took assist courses and studied the psychology behind it and developed the tools that we started giving people that we're still researching. We're still going out and reading these psychiatric journals, learning about new medications on the market and possible side effects. At least I am. Because this means something to me. When most people got to hear I love you at their lowest, I got to hear the click of a firearm. And that's facts. If I can bring myself back from the brink of nothing, I can help you. My team can help you. I may not understand your exact situation, but that's the beautiful thing. You know, there's a saying that you hear, it's a small Marine Corps. Well, it's not just the Marine Corps anymore. It's a small veteran world. And yeah, there are millions of us around the globe. All it takes is one person starting that. And I want to be that person out there that everybody can come to and go, hey, Panda, I'm struggling today. All right, bet. Let's get you some tools. What's going on? Let's talk about it. And the people that watch this, I guarantee you, you'll never know who's actually struggling. You may see signs. But you don't know what people are internalizing. That's why one of the big things I tell you is be kind. You never know if you are somebody's kindness. And I am guilty of having anger too. I'm guilty of being bullheaded. I'm guilty of not listening. And these are things that I work on too. Nobody's perfect. But let us help you get to a position where you're not sitting there going, every day sucks. Let's help you feel better again. Let's get you off your knees, get you off that razor wire, and get you taken care of. Anyways, yeah. If you have questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I know it wasn't a very long live. You know, we're at 40 minutes. And in these 40 minutes, you want to know what's crazy? If the real number is actually 44, in 19 minutes from now, we will have lost another person. On average, in about every 48 minutes or so. And those are the ones that are getting reported. There's a huge section of them that aren't, because they don't go to the VA, and it's not getting reported. Scary. I want us to have a much nicer place. I want us to be able to take care of each other so much more. So share it out. Share this video on all your social medias. Go find us on Facebook. Share it out as much as you can. Because you never know, that one person may be sitting there that's not as strong as they think they are. They're trying to be a stone, but they're getting eroded down. Even stones can be ground to powder. So let's get them before they get there. Let's reach out. Because one of the biggest things that we tell you is run, walk, crawl. Now, most cases, when you're a child, you learn to crawl, then walk, then run. But we're going to run to you. We're going to help you crawl across the finish line. At the very worst. But we're going to walk with you the whole way. Until you can't go anymore. And then we'll crawl you across. Because we're going to give you the tools to dig yourself up. And build yourself up. Let's make this life beautiful. Help me get out there more. Help me do more events. Get our name out there. Because I'm tired of getting the, hey, you need to sit down phone calls. I am tired of hearing taps. I am tired of seeing folded flags for people that are way too young for that to ever happen. So reach out. Even if you're not on the veteran side of the page. Even if you're not. Reach out to your friends. You never know who's struggling. But again, what I do here is a veteran resource. So let's take care of our family. Food for that. This has been Panda with Behind the Mask. I'm going to be coming on Wednesday nights and do this around 6-ish. I have to figure out how to port a lot of things over, but thanks for coming out.